Hey, rail fans. Boy, we have a lot to talk about today. I'm sure, as many of you are aware, recently Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific have made a deal to eventually be bought out by Union Pacific to become the nation's first transcontinental railroad, which is false. There's been like one or two in the past. But anyway, disregard that. Obviously, a lot of rail fans are up in arms about this. Obviously, it's like, oh my gosh, will my line see such and such trains, or will 4014 run on Horseshoe Curve, or, something like that. But I kind of want to make this video as, like, a way to express my opinions and maybe some others that might be out there. And to kind of get away from, like, will this, and this happen about such and such train, more of, this might significantly impact the entire rail industry of the United States, as well as our economy. So first things first, my personal opinions about how I feel about this, I'm not on board with it. And this is for many reasons. Obviously, I'm getting out of the military here pretty soon, and I plan to go work for CSX, because obviously it's the closest I can get to the LNN. And if this gets approved by the Safety Transportation Board, then there's a very good possibility that CSX and BNSF have to merge, and they're most likely going to be laying off people because they just have too many people. And that's the unfortunate reality of mergers, is people get laid off. Another concern of mine is a monopoly. Now, that word has been thrown around a lot, but I'm going to kind of educate you guys a little bit on what that really means. So imagine you're a customer for the Union Pacific Transcontinental. You want to ship something on their rail. However, the price is like egregiously high. With that being said, you can either pay up or turn to the trucking business, which means your neighborhood grocer, who also has their stuff delivered by rail, now has to pay even more money because UP Transcontinental is losing money. So, this is just not a good idea. As well as there's going to be many, I don't know how many off the bat. I'm not quite sure of how CPKC is doing, but there's going to be quite a few lines that will be abandoned and written off. I can think of like what happened with Saluda Grade. The Southern was a really big user of Saluda, but a couple years after the NS or Norfolk and Western and Southern merger, that line was slowly being phased out, and it was just not affordable to run it anymore. Which is now it's a bike trail, which is tragic. And if CSX and BNSF merge, I'm going to use my home rail as an example, the CC subdivision. There's a very good possibility that the CC could either be completely abandoned or will be revitalized. Because I will say this about the CC, and don't mean to toot my own horn here, but the CC subdivision is the shortest way from the north to the south on the CSX system. There's a reason why new metro rebuilds go up the CC subdivision to get to Chicago. With that being said, it's all just speculation. One thing that every rail fan needs to understand, this is not final. It's going to take months, if not years, for this to get processed, and there are many things in the way of this happening. I recommend this video right here about the failed Southern Pacific Santa Fe merger. Again, monopolies were brought up, and it didn't work out. So there is no reason to completely panic yet. Now, obviously, it is a cause for concern. I've talked to some railroaders about it, and obviously they're very much worried about being laid off or their seniority being thrown out the can, which I can fully understand, as well as new hires being, we just hired on, now we're going to get fired, or not fired, furloughed. So I sympathize with these people. And also, a little bit, the deep rail fan within me is kind of like, oh no, this is horrible. We're going to have NS patch jobs, and eventually they're all going to be repainted into GEVOs. What's going to happen to the heritage units? That's all speculation. This might not even be approved. So for now, honestly, to every rail fan, I can say, keep catching Norfolk Southern. keep catching trains, because you never know. One day they might not be there anymore. A lot of older rail fans tell me that they got really tired of the SD40s, and now it's a treat to see one on the main line. So, it might just be a GEVO, guys, but catch it. A train is a train, and you'll be forever thankful if one day something happens to the railroad or that locomotive that you caught it. And that's what rail fans do. We catch trains. So that's kind of my opinion on the matter. Not really a fan of it. I really hope it doesn't happen, and there's a lot of things in the way that can prevent it from happening. But there's always that small possibility. But with that being said, keep chasing trains, guys, and stay safe out there on the highway.